Lewis.
Commissioners of the IHSAA. In high school sports, student athletes aren't just running drills. They're learning discipline and work ethic.
They're not just watching film. They're learning the value of preparation and always finding ways to improve.
They're not just hitting the weight room. They're learning the importance of pushing through any challenges that come their way.
These aren't just some of the skills student athletes need to navigate the game. These are the skills they need to navigate life, to be successful people, to be good humans.
You can ensure these life lessons are taught for generations to come. Be a champion of high school sports and buy a ticket to your high school's athletic events.
This is preparing for the game. This is preparing for life. This is your IHSAA.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled you're with us. As we always do, we have a hell of a lot to talk about, starting with the fact that we have a new, very important office, quote unquote, that's been established within the White House. And our esteemed leaders in Washington, D.C., and in particular those in the White House right now, under the brilliant direction of President Joe Biden, have decided to create a new office, which they're calling the White House Office of Gun Violence Protection. And you say, okay, well, let's think about this a little bit. This is at the White House, which means it's part of the executive branch. It's under the direction of the president. So what exactly is it they can do? It's not even an executive agency, and certain executive agencies, in particular like the ATF or the FBI, as an executive agency, Congress has delegated certain powers to them, certain abilities, and within those delegated powers, they can then do their jobs as defined by delegated authorities from Congress. So if you're an office, quote unquote, within the White House, what exactly does that mean? Well, it's an open question at this point. In terms of your authority to do anything that impacts the American people, it's pretty much, see, it's moments like this, producer Carl, I regret not being able to cuss on the radio. But it's pretty much nada. How's that? We'll say Spanish for nothing. It's pretty much zip in terms of what you have the authority to do. It's kind of like, say, being appointed the border czar in order to control immigration on the southern border. Because you're not part of INS, right? Immigration and Naturalization Service. You're not part of the Border Patrol. You're not part of an official government entity or executive agency that's been delegated certain powers. You've just received some title because the gentleman currently in the White House decides to give you that title. So what it means in terms of your actual authority, it's pretty much exactly like border czar. However, you would think that when someone as important, let me put important in quotes, important as our current vice president, Kamala Harris, gets the nod for a position like border czar. All right, well, she's the vice president, so she should be able to influence those people who can actually take action, who have the legal authority to take action. And so, of course, a lot of people expected that to happen on the southern border with Kamala Harris having been appointed as, quote-unquote, border czar. Of course, what we've now seen is the border is more uncontrolled, it's more unregulated, and we've had more illegal crossings in the last year than we've seen in a long, long time. I keep hearing news reports that something like, I just heard one last night, like 10,000 people in a day illegally crossed the border. Well, that's notwithstanding the fact that we have a border czar in the form of one Vice President Kamala Harris. So, who is going to head up the new White House Office of Gun Violence Protection?
Hey everybody, so I have some big news to share. We are announcing the creation of the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And we are doing this work in large part because of the activism, the organizing, the marching, the voting of all of you leaders, be it students, parents, teachers, community leaders, who understand that living free from gun violence should be a right. So we're going to work on this together. We're going to continue to fight for reasonable gun safety laws and for the ability of all people to live their best lives free from fear, free from violence. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do.
Okay, so if you're someone living in fear of violence, generally, or okay, let's give them their phrase they love more than anything, gun violence. I'm sorry. I don't separate violence. I don't change my description of violence based on the weapon that was used. If someone stabs me, I don't call it knife violence. I just call it violence. If somebody punches me in the face, I don't call it fist violence. It's just violence. But they love saying gun violence because, of course, that demonizes firearms, which is part of the agenda. So it's not a surprise to anybody. We've heard that for a generation or more. But here they're saying, all right, when someone hears, the audience that listened to that speech from the Rose Garden, from the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, who said, all right, we're going to fight to limit gun violence. And then here's something that really caught my attention. She said, because you have a right to live free of the threat of gun violence. And you hear this a lot. People say, look, you want to talk about your Second Amendment rights guy all the time. Well, I have a right to live without fear of being shot. And my right to live without fear of being shot dominates, is superior to your right to possess a firearm. You know what I always say? Somebody wants to go down that road. I always go, well, of course you have a right to live free of violence. That's why there's crimes against illegal violence. Kamala Harris says, you have a right to live free of gun violence. Well, of course you do. That's absolutely true. You have a right to live free of gun violence because if somebody tries to shoot you, or in fact shoots you, they go to prison. There's never been a defense in the history of anybody shooting any other person. There's never been an argument in court where somebody comes to court and say, what are you being accused of here? Well, they say I shot this person. Oh, well, what do you have to say about that? Well, they have no right to live free of gun violence. My right to shoot them is more important. Has anybody ever made that legal argument in the history of the universe? No, of course not. You can say, my use of force was justified because it was in self-defense or defense of a third person. That's completely different. But there's never been an argument to say there's no right to live free of gun violence in the sense that an innocent person can't say other people can't hurt them because other people have a right to hurt them. No, outside the context of self-defense or defense of innocent third persons, no one's ever made that argument. So this ridiculous thing of you have a right to live free of gun violence, well, of course you do. And that's why no one can unlawfully hurt you in any way. Punch you, stab you, shoot you, doesn't matter. Of course you have that right. You've always had that right. Since there have been laws in society, you've had that right. But you can have that right And I can have a right to own firearms and to carry firearms and to own and carry the firearm of my choice. And your right coexists with my right. My right is not inconsistent with your right. I can own whatever. I can own an AR-15 or several. I can own a machine gun. I can own a tank or a cannon. And yes, President Biden, you can own a tank. You can own a cannon. And you could own a cannon at the time of the ratification of the Second Amendment. But I can own whatever legal firearms that I care to own under my Second Amendment rights, and you can have a right to be free of violence, and those rights coexist. When do those rights potentially not coexist? When do those rights conflict? I would say never. But let's say I take my gun that I lawfully own, and I try to unlawfully hurt you with it. Can I rely on the Second Amendment? Can I say, oh, well, I have a Second Amendment right to bear arms, therefore I can shoot this innocent person sitting in their living room at home? Of course not. Does the Second Amendment protect that right? No, and it never has. So when you hear this argument, well, your right to own a gun is secondary to my right to live free of violence, it's so completely ridiculous. They're not inconsistent rights, and they never have been. And that's why the speech by Kamala that goes right down, it's predictable. Everybody, if you're sitting on the radio right now going, what, guy, is this a surprise? Of course not. I've been listening to this for a damn long time. I'm old, and I've been involved in this for a while. So none of us is a surprise. But don't give in to that. Don't get caught up in it. Don't allow that argument to ever have any success. Don't allow it to have the light of day. My right to live free of gun violence superior to your Second Amendment rights. Well, no, you have that right. I have my right. And there's no reason to say one's superior to the other unless they conflict. And there's no reason for them to ever conflict. Because my Second Amendment right gives me no right to hurt you. And the Second Amendment rights of anybody else on this planet gives me no right to hurt you outside the context of lawful and justified self-defense. That's the easy answer to that. We come back, though, we'll talk about what we can expect to see from the newly formed White House Office of Gun Violence Protection. And then we'll talk about what's going on a little more close to home here in terms of what Democrats are trying to do right here in Indiana. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show. By the way, give us a call. You want to join the discussion, 317-239-9393. We love taking calls. We take calls throughout our entire 2-hour show. Although, by the way, drop a footnote on that. We're out of here at 6:30 tonight because the pregame show for IU Akron, I believe the game is, starts. The pregame show starts at 6:30, so we have a little bit of an abbreviated Gun Guy show tonight. But in the meantime, for at least 90 minutes, we'd love to take your calls, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
They found the aliens. The Mexican government whipped out these 2 alien corpses. 30% of their DNA is unknown. We found them in algae somewhere. This little corpse looks like something that Kev could make in about an hour.
Is that paper mache? That's exactly what it looks like. They got some Mod Podge on there.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is coming up Saturday, November 4th. This is at Indy Arms at 2550 East 55th Street, northeast side of Indy. This is $50 for an individual. It's $95 for couples for 5 hours of the most important legal information you're ever going to get as an Indiana gun owner. This includes a detailed discussion of the lawful use of force in self-defense, where you can and can't carry a gun, avoiding very serious crimes, all felonies, including intimidation with a deadly weapon or criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, or intimidation with a deadly weapon. I've defended each of those charges many, many times, and I can talk about exactly how to avoid those things if you own a gun and certainly if you carry a gun. This is exactly the class that you need to take It's Essentials of Indiana Gun Law. Next one is November 4th at Indy Arms. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Don't you love fall in Indy, but you hate the paint? Well, do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with a Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Tony Katz here for 459 Barber Lounge. You want to look your best? You got to go to the best. 459 has highly skilled barbers and stylists with over 100 years of combined experience. They've been serving Indy for over 20 years. They take care of me, and you're going to love your look after a visit to 459 Barber Lounge. They sell beer and wine, and they're open 7 days a week. Newly expanded, newly renovated, across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. That's 459online.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you.
Don't fall for the free furnace upcharge tricks. Get an honest, fair quote from Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer. Call themarshallnow.com.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And we're going to talk about this just a little bit more because, frankly, I don't think it deserves much more attention than that. But there's this newly formed, or newly announced anyway, White House Office of Gun Violence Protection, which sounds very important, but they apparently put Kamala Harris in charge of this thing. Where a lot of people, when I posted a couple of links about this. A lot of people responded and said, well, if she's as effective on this as she is on the southern border, there's not much to worry about from a Second Amendment perspective. And I think that's exactly the right response. I couldn't agree more. But here's what you're going to see out of this. And part of this does raise some concern, not because I think Kamala Harris is going to be effective at doing anything she sets out to do, but to the extent that the White House starts directing agencies like, say, the ATF to take certain actions. Unfortunately, we've seen that happen over and over here recently. I mean, just look. I mean, and frankly, I'm sorry, we got to call a spade a spade. We got to be honest. President Trump started this snowball rolling down the hill with let's ban bump stocks after the Las Vegas shooting. And listen, I enthusiastically voted for President Trump in 2 general elections. And I would do so again were he the nominee. But he made a major mistake on the Second Amendment and showed himself to be not particularly strong on the Second Amendment when, after Las Vegas came out and said, oh, that's it, bump stocks are gone, and he told the ATF to make them illegal. He didn't call on Congress to pass a law to make him illegal. He told the ATF to make him illegal. Big difference. Big difference, because your elected representatives in Congress had nothing to say about it. It bypassed the legislative process. And the career bureaucrats at the ATF, and I'm not talking about the rank and file and the enforcement people, I'm talking about the bureaucrats at the management level who care more about remaining bureaucrats than they do about your freedoms, said, sure, President Trump will do exactly what you want. And they made bump stocks illegal. And look, a lot of people said, oh, well, we don't care much about bump stocks. Bump stocks are stupid. I said bump stocks are stupid, but I care a lot about the process by which they were made illegal, because it did not involve Congress. It involved ATF simply amending a regulation. And in their regulation, by all intents and purposes, changed the language of Congress. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's not how separation of powers works. We gave the executive branch, executive powers, which means they enforce the law. We gave the judicial branch judicial powers, which is they interpret the law. And we give the legislative branch, very importantly, the ability to make the law. When ATF changes a regulation and changes the law, they're doing something that they were never intended to do, not by the founders of this country. And Trump went down that road, and it was a huge mistake. And since then, what have we seen? Oh, now ghost guns are illegal. Did Congress do that? No. Now pistol braces have to be registered as short-barreled rifles if they're attached to a gun with a barrel less than 16 inches. Did Congress do that? No. And it goes on and on. You know exactly the examples I'm going to cite. It started with bump stocks, but now under Biden, it's just gotten worse. So what you're going to see under this newly formed Office of Gun Violence Protection, since it's sitting there in the White House, is, yeah, they'll whine at Congress, oh, you need to pass an assault weapon ban. Okay. They've been doing that for a damn long time. They're going to whine at Congress, oh, we need a high-capacity magazine ban. More news on that front in a bit. They'll whine at Congress about what they want Congress to do. But given the fact that Congress is actually elected by people back in their home jurisdictions and will vote for them or against them based on what they do in Congress, that's very unlikely to pass. And they know that, just like you know that and I know that. So what are they going to do? In this newly formed Office of Gun Violence Prevention, they're going to go to ATF. They're going to go to FBI and say, do whatever you got to do to deny every possible person a background check when they're trying to buy a gun. Any ostensible reason. Deny the background check. I'm already seeing that. I think that order's already gone out. I mean, people have had felonies expunged or had felonies reduced to misdemeanors. They're fully capable. They're fully legal to possess a gun, buy a gun. FBI's denying them left and right. This has happened a bunch. I think an order's come down from the White House to say, screw these people over. You know they're legal. We know they're legal. We just want to mess with people's Second Amendment rights. I absolutely believe that's true. At the interannual meeting here in town, here in Indy, a few months ago, I went by the NICS desk, the National Instant Criminal Background Check System of the FBI. They had a booth. They had it wasn't very big. It was a table or two there in the exhibition hall at the interannual meeting. And I went by and I got to talk to the lady who runs overseas, I think is the way she put it, the NICS people doing background checks for people out of Indiana. And I got to say, why are you doing this? And she looked at me like I had no idea what I was talking about. I go, why are you denying people who have had felonies expunged? She goes, well, there's some question about whether an Indiana expungement restores your gun rights. I go, no, there's no question about that. I've got a letter right here. I can show you. I can get into my file on my phone and show you a letter from the Department of Justice and the FBI that says an Indiana expungement absolutely does restore your gun rights. I got a letter from your boss at the Department of Justice. Don't tell me there's some question. Well, I think it may take some further analysis. No, we've done the analysis. You were denying a bunch of these, and we went to you and you complained, and so you asked for the Indiana Attorney General to issue an official legal opinion about whether an Indiana expungement restores gun rights. And Curtis Hill, bless his heart, say what you want about Curtis Hill. He is strong on the Second Amendment, and he is a strong conservative. Curtis Hill wrote this awesome multi-page, like 7-8 page opinion that said, absolutely, an Indiana expungement restores gun rights at the request of the Department of Justice. And he sent them that to you people, and you people said, wow, looks right to me. And you're still screwing these people over. This is intentional. Well, we're going to have to take a look at that. I'm telling you, that's what you're going to see out of this newly formed Office of Gun Violence Prevention. You're going to see the White House telling administrative agencies to mess with your, man, it's so hard not to cuss on the radio, Carl. It's just really hard. To mess is the word we'll use with your Second Amendment rights. That's what you're going to see. You're not going to see any laws change. You're not going to see anything that actually is legal or constitutional. But we're going to have to fight it bit by bit, piece by piece. I mean, that's what I do for a living. That's the reason I formed the Two-Way Project. So we can fight these bastards. Yeah, I can say bastards, damn it. Carl's laughing, so I think I'm okay on that. He's not hitting the dump button. So we can fight the bastards right there on the ground where they live and just say, no, you're trying to do that. That's illegal, and we will fight you on this, and we will win. In the meantime, we're at the bottom of the hour. It's time to take a break. A couple of people have called in. We'll go to the phone lines. Then we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about what's going on right here in Indiana. I got to tell you this, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but is potentially, I think, much more dangerous than anything I see coming from Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C. Give us a call. Join the discussion, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hi, everybody. Don Fisher here. Join us for football this Saturday night when the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Akron Zips. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30, followed by the kickoff at 7:30 on the radio home for IU football, 93 WIBC.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey,
5.6%.
Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com.
Electric vehicles are here to stay. And if you're looking for an electric vehicle, Andy Moore Ford is your EV headquarters. More selection. Get to Andy Moore Ford to shop the Mach-E, the E-Transit, the F-150 Lightning in stock, and more arriving daily. Save more at the pump when you switch to an Andy Moore Ford EV. Say hello to more rebates with federal and state incentives. You could save more. How's over $7,500 sound to you? But the benefits don't end there. Purchasing an EV with Andy Andy Moore means you can take advantage of excellent services like more to your door, more peace of mind with over a decade of experience in selling and servicing electric vehicles. Andy Moore Ford's EV experts are here to answer all of your questions from sales to service, parts to maintenance. Check out Andy Moore Ford. Find them in Plainfield at 2713 East Main Street, 2713 East Main Street. Andy Moore Ford. Andy Moore, M-O-H-R. AndyMooreFord.com. That's AndyMooreFord.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at IndianaFoundation.com.
After my wreck, dealing with the insurance company on my own was a bust. I wanted to hit the bullseye, so I called the hammer.
Don't let the insurance company keep you from getting the money you deserve. I'm attorney Daryl Isaacs. We've recovered over $2 billion for our clients, and we're ready to hit the bullseye for you.
I hit the bullseye when I called the hammer.
Just click and get help quick at WeWin.com. That's WeWin.com.
Hey, Dr. Petrino.
This hour is powered by Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your American Standard air dealer serving Central Indiana.
Fox News, I'm Matt Napolitano. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is still trying to avoid a government shutdown.
We still have a number of days. The uniqueness is, from the standpoint that I have, is I never give up on America. And I think when it gets crunch time, people will finally, that have been holding off all this time, blaming everybody else, will finally, hopefully move off.
Some Republicans want deeper spending cuts. Tropical storm Ophelia making landfall near Emerald Isle, North Carolina this morning.
Norfolk, Virginia is facing a significant flood threat as Ophelia moves north. This low-lying coastal city is literally surrounded by rivers and bays. So tidal flooding, a very real possibility. And when you couple that with intense rain bands, well, that could spell major trouble.
Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez in Norfolk, Virginia. America's listening to Fox News.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like business owner Brian.
Yeah, Galaxy was great. We have a business where a lot of the service techs are working out in the field, and they'll come in and they'll have even some mud or something on our shoes. So if we're having a meeting, I needed a flooring that could stand up to that, but still look good as an office setting.
Well, if you own a home or a business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Galaxy was great to work around our schedule. They were able to come in on a Saturday, and the job was completed over the weekend, and we were back in business, so we didn't miss a step.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
It's very nice looking. It's very durable. Really makes the room stand out and shine.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
Galaxy was quick to respond. They were quick to give us a solution and quick to get it completed as well. And they're going to take care of you.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab of Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'll tell you that song that we use as bumper music, or some people call it rejoin music, that producer Carl plays. It's from Joe Bonamassa, and it's a song called High Water Everywhere. But Carl and I were here in the studio, and we listened to that drum sequence there with a guitar that kind of comes in as an overlay later, and just thought, that's just a cool sequence. And so we've hung with that. We used to play a lot of different Joe Bonamassa and other kind of bluesy rock and roll music. And I'll tell you what, on social media, I'm at Guy Relford. Give me a follow, man. I am really trying to build my Twitter following. And here a while ago, I was whining about not having very many Twitter followers, and I was talking to producer Carl about that. And I said, man, I don't understand. I go, all these people listen to the show and we get all this great feedback, but I really don't have that many Twitter followers. At which point Carl said, well, Guy, do you ever say anything interesting on Twitter? To which I said, well, not really, no. And at which point he said, well, why in the hell would anybody follow you on Twitter? Which was a legitimate point. And so in reaction to Carl's very excellent input, I am much more active on Twitter now, and I post a lot of things, a lot of links, a lot of commentary. I give a lot of heads up on bills that have been filed, or different initiatives where people are either being successful in defending our Second Amendment rights, fighting to protect and promote our Second Amendment rights, or when the bastards are coming after us. A lot of times I post those things on there too. So go on Twitter, give me a follow at Guy Relford. But what I started to say is, if you do or don't like the fact that we're pretty much using the same bumper music, that drum sequence from the great song, it's called High Water Everywhere, just by Joe Bonamassa, who's my favorite artist, and comes to Indy every year, by the way. But anyway, if you do or don't like the fact we've hung with that same song, give me a comment on Twitter at Guy Relford. Give me a comment on Facebook. I'm at Guy A. Relford or the Gun Guy WIBC, and just say, no, Guy, I liked it better when you played different kinds of music or different songs every time, because I'm kind of split on it. It was fun to play different, hard hitting, loud guitar, loud drums, strong, vibrant, fun music. At the same time, I really like this sequence too. So tell me what you think about that, because as always, we always want to take the input of our listeners. Speaking of which, Chris has called in, and so let's go to the phone lines. We're kind of between topics, so it's a good time to go to the phone lines. And Chris, welcome to the Gun Guy Show, man. What do you got for us?
Hey, Guy. Traveling from communist Chicago, trying to get back to Indiana. But question is, carry insurance. Is that something you recommend? There's obviously one that advertises that's probably pretty well known. Where they allegedly, supposedly, pay legal fees if I ever have to exert gun violence to stop gun violence.
Sure.
Is that something you recommend, and or one in particular over another?
Yeah. Well, and Chris, thanks for calling, buddy, and travel safely. Well, listen, I have quote unquote carry insurance. And in order to answer that question, let's first talk about what it is Chris is talking about, if that's not a term you're familiar with. Carry insurance, and Chris described this, and he's completely right, is there are insurance programs out there that say if you're required to defend yourself, let's say somebody breaks into your home and you pick up your gun off the nightstand and you shoot the guy who just kicked your door in. But then his family sues you. And by the way, you may be listening and saying, well, who would ever do that? I mean, if someone kicks your door in, obviously you're entitled to defend your home. That's the Castle Doctrine. Gosh, Guy, you idiot. Don't you understand that? We have the Castle Doctrine in Indiana. You can defend your home. Why would anybody, or how could anybody ever sue you? Well, unfortunately, they still do. And that's exactly why I wrote the Indiana self-defense immunity law that we've now had in this state since 2019. I could talk about more on that in a minute, but let's answer the question first. People do file that lawsuit. I'm defending that exact lawsuit right now. And I just argued to have it dismissed under the immunity statute that I wrote. I just had an oral argument in Marion County. This guy was breaking in someone else's home, broke a window. And the homeowner, who's first heard his dog barking, got up, grabbed his gun, went out. First guy was pounding on the front door, kicking on the front door, putting his shoulder into the front door. And the homeowner said, "Hey, I've got a gun. Go away." This is 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, middle of the night. And all the guy did was go around to the back door, broke a window, and before he started climbing through the window he just broke, the homeowner said, "Man, I have a gun. Go away." You know what the guy said? "You're going to have to shoot me, B word." Well, I won't use the B word. We'll continue keeping producer Carl happy. "You're going to have to shoot me, B word," and starts to climb through the window, at which point the guy shot him. Absolutely justified, 1,000%. Guess what happens? Some lawyer figures this out, finds out about this, files a lawsuit, wrongful death. "Oh, you overreacted." Well, carry insurance, as Chris asked me about, and there are a lot of different plans out there, would protect you in that circumstance. If you're walking down the street and somebody tries to mug you, somebody tries to, kidnap your wife, assault you, whatever it might be, and you lawfully defend yourself, what if you defend yourself and the local prosecutor's office is incredibly liberal and anti-Second Amendment? Can't think of anywhere where that might apply, as I sit here in the middle of Marion County, and you get prosecuted, even though you acted in self-defense. And now you have attorney's fees. Well, there are insurance programs out there that say, okay, buy this insurance, pay a monthly premium or annual premium, however it's set up, and we'll reimburse you or pay for your attorney to defend those things. And some plans even say, like in a civil case, if you're sued and there's a verdict rendered against you, we'll pay the verdict. Now, that all depends on the particular plan and the wording of that particular policy. And they're very different, and that's why it's very important to study the details of these different plans and policies. And there's a bunch of them. There's Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. I'm in their National System of Defense Council. ALCDN, Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. There's Second Call Defense. Second Call is kind of a cool name because first call is 911. Second call is to this insurance program. There's U.S. Law Shield, very big, very popular. NRA had one for a while, but it was based in New York, and New York made it illegal to have any such insurance program, and so NRA's policy just kind of imploded and went away. But I've had, since 2012, I have had insurance through USCCA, the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. And by the way, the list I just gave you is not all-inclusive. There are several other plans out there. So, I go out there and there's Texas Law Shield, which is part of, I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's associated with U.S. Law Shield, but they offer policies outside of Texas. And there are several others. But at any rate, I've had USCCA, U.S. Concealed Carry Association, and I would guess they're the two biggest that is U.S. Law Shield along with USCCA. I've had their carry insurance since 2012. I pay an annual premium, and I signed up for the plan that gives you the most coverage. I know how expensive it can be to pay legal fees in one of these situations. At the time that I selected USCCA, I did a deep drill on it, and I thought they were the very best program. At the same time, I will tell you, and listen, full disclosure, long after I first got their insurance, probably, 7 or 8 years, 9 years after I got their insurance, USCCA came to me and asked me to teach some of their self-defense seminars here in Indiana. And as part of that, they paid me a little bit of money. Not nearly enough, which is perhaps why I don't do that anymore. But for a year or two, I taught their self-defense seminars here in India. I enjoyed doing it. They would have a lawyer come in like me and teach self-defense law, and then it would, be a bit of a sales pitch after that. It was a marketing tool for them. And they paid me some money to go do that. So, hey, discount everything that I just said because they paid me some money at some point. But I did buy their insurance many, many years before any of that happened. But if you're going to do this today, I would do another deep drill. Look at coverage. Look at whether you can hire your own attorney. Look at a lot of different factors about what the best plan is out there. But that's what he's talking about. I have USCCA. You may make a different decision when you look into that. In the meantime, we're well past the 3/4 hour. Carl's giving me the get the hell off the radio sign guy. So we'll do that right now and come back in just a bit. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
We feel.
Feel it as soon as you step out the door.
What you feel.
Bundle up. Feels like winter.
It's going to be more like summertime.
Do you feel like we do?
All the feels.
It feels a little like winter.
Feels more like summer.
Of fall.
It's kind of the clash of two seasons.
Weather. Mornings and afternoons.
The ebbs and flows this time of the year is so evident.
On your official fall weather station. 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for tactical firearms training. Our next Essentials of Indiana gun law class is coming up Saturday, November 4th at Indy Arms, 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. This is 5 hours of the most important legal information that you need as an Indiana gun owner, including a detailed discussion of the law of self-defense in Indiana. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love for you to sign up and be there on November 4th. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through November 15th, new customers can get 75 megabit internet on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $20 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Go to xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and an autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service. Actual speeds vary.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and 45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
On behalf of Premier Arms, PremierArms.com, thank you to everyone who showed up to their big fundraiser celebrating their 22nd anniversary. The benefit helped the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Department of Indiana, Veteran Suicide Awareness, and raised over $32,000 for the Indiana VFW. The sponsors, manufacturers, and everyone that came out supported Premier Arms, supported their neighbors, and that's exactly what Hoosiers do. Find out more about this great cause at PremierArms.com. PremierArms.com.
JMV here for Miss M's Home and Garden by Sundown Gardens, now open in Bargersville. You've been hearing about it. It's here. Fall plants, including mums, trees, shrubs, outdoor and seasonal indoor decor. Check out their lake house decor section, too. And right now, to celebrate their opening, save 20% off nursery stock and 50% off pottery at Miss M's Home and Garden this week. Miss M's Home and Garden by Sundown Gardens, half-mile south of Whiteland Road on State Road 135 in Bargersville. MissMsHomeandGarden.com.
Head to the contest page at WIBC.com and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra on December 26th at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Go to WIBC.com for more info.
Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back to what's going to be a very short segment. Eric Stein went so long last time. I'm starting to get some responses on social media, and it looks like people are leaning toward keeping the current bumper music. But Carl's saying, hell yeah, because this is a lot easier. Right? Carl used to go out and have to fish around and find new songs. And I'd always go, no, I like this segment better than that segment. It was a hell of a lot more work for Carl before. So he's leaning strongly toward keeping the current program because he just pushes the same button and it's good to go. We make Carl's life a little easier. But hey, listen, we're coming to the end of this segment. We're going to get into in the next segment, and again, we don't have a full second hour because of the pregame show that's going to start before the IU game. But we're going to get into the fact that Democrats are trying to repeal the Indiana Firearms Preemption Act. What is that? That's what we'll get into and why this is so important when we come back. And we want to continue to take your calls and questions. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. But right now, we're coming up on the top of the hour. It's time to take a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
So I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while. And I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do. And everybody just said surgery. And surgery was months of rehab, and I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Exergen thermometers at Walgreens are the smart choice when selecting a thermometer. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Got a fever? Stay home. To detect fever accurately at home, you need a clinically accurate, fast, and non-invasive thermometer. The Exergen thermometer is backed by over 100 clinical studies. Accuracy matters. Be smart and safe. Measure accurately with Exergen thermometers. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Broadcasting from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
The impact of Ophelia. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. The East Coast dealing with heavy rain and flooding as Tropical Storm Ophelia made landfall this morning. Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez is in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia is facing a significant flood threat as Ophelia moves north. This low-lying coastal city is literally surrounded by rivers and bays, so tidal flooding, a very real possibility. And when you couple that with intense rain bands, well, that could spell major trouble. We're talking about a state of emergency that was put in place, and Norfolk City leaders decided to take some big steps to try to minimize that flood threat. They actually closed floodgates that are in place and surround the city, especially downtown, and have called in staff to work pump stations.
Ophelia made landfall with wind gusts of up to 70 miles an hour, but is expected to weaken as the system moves further toward the northeast. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy among the chamber's members still on Capitol Hill today, trying to work out a short-term spending bill, keeping the government from shutting down at the end of the month. McCarthy chatting with reporters, trying to maintain some optimism.
Shutting down and having border agents not be paid, your Coast Guard not get paid, I don't see how that would work. Continuing to fund government while you pass your 12 appropriation bills to put America on a stronger path to secure our border, to end the wokeism, to save money for the hardworking taxpayers.
A small group of Republicans refusing to work with McCarthy. They're demanding deeper budget cuts. Ukraine launching a second missile attack on a key Crimean city just one day after the Ukrainian military destroyed the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Officials say the latest move of the counteroffensive killed 9 Russian military personnel and wounded 16 others. America's listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network, the Fox News Rundown, a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Your daily dose of news twice a day, going far beyond the headlines, tapping into the massive reporting resources of Fox News to provide a full picture of the news of the day.
I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Maria Bartiromo.
I'm Brian Kilmeade, and this is the Fox News Rundown. Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Preparing for the game. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. When the Indianapolis Colts face the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday, they won't have 2 key players. John Herrick reports.
Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson and center Ryan Kelly are both in concussion protocol. They both had to leave last Sunday's game against Houston with concussion-like symptoms. Gardner Minshew led the Colts to victory against Houston, so he will start at quarterback against Baltimore. Wesley French is supposed to take Kelly's place at center for this game. It'll be his first career start. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Ravens are also ruling out 7 players for Sunday's game, including Odell Beckham Jr. and Marcus Williams. Even if you don't know the name Ernie Taylor, you may recognize his work, as his yard full of metal sculptures could be seen by cars traveling on State Road 32. Unfortunately, the Hamilton County Reporter says the artist died last week at the age of 95. Taylor will be buried at Roston Cemetery in Zionsville. Instead of sending flowers, you are encouraged to support his memory by donating to the Boone County Cancer Society or to your favorite charity. And the Fall Boat and RV Show is going on now through Sunday at the State Fairgrounds.
The innovation going on with pontoon boats and the floor plans and everything available there for the first time ever buy an RV or a boat, there's no better time.
Kevin Renfrow says the innovation is one of the most impressive parts of the RVs. You can find more information at indyfallboatandrvshow.com. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly clear skies remain in place, low temperatures in the low to mid-50s. Sunday's forecast will call for clouds to increase, high temperatures in the upper 70s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Are you a dedicated family caregiver who finds yourself putting the needs of others before your own? Do you ever take a moment for yourself? This is Tina McIntosh, founder of Joy's House, and we are excited to partner with Teepa Snow of the Positive Approach to Care. I'll be right back after these words from Teepa with an invitation that you will not want to miss.
Thank you, Tina. In my experience, care partners are distressed when the person says, I want to go home, and they are home. My number one tip for overcoming this and other stressful moments while providing care is to pause and reflect. You want to go home, offer a choice. Do you need to do something there, or you just don't want to be here? I'll be sharing more tips like this at our upcoming presentation, and I hope you'll join us. Back to Tina for the details.
Understanding yourself as a caregiver and what you need with Teepa. This is a free event that's going to take place on October 13th at 1 p.m. on Butler University's campus. Call us at 317-254-0828 or visit joyshouse.org to register today. And we cannot wait to see you.
Want to look your best? Then go to the best. Go where I go. 459 Barber Lounge. Across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. Tell them Tony Cat sent you.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back to the second hour of the Gun Guy Show, which is not going to be a full hour. We've got the pregame show before the IU game that's going to start at 6:30. So we'll be right out of here precisely at 6:30. But for the time we have, we're going to get into this initiative the Democrats have of appealing the Indiana Firearms Preemption Act. By the way, before we do that, I want to give a shout out. Yesterday, I shot in a fundraiser for Boy Scouts of America. And listen, I don't necessarily agree with all the policies of Boy Scouts of America, but still it's an important organization, and I was proud to participate in a fundraiser where we shot in a sporting clay tournament up in Kokomo at the Isaac Walton range up in Kokomo. It's a beautiful facility, man. You're shooting back in the woods. I've always enjoyed shooting there. I've kind of gotten out of sporting clays a little bit, only because COVID hit and they shut down a lot of the tournaments, and I kind of got out of the habit of going. I came back. I think I shot one tournament and didn't shoot very well, and then that's kind of it. So I've really been out of it for a couple of years after really I was hot and heavy there for several years into it. Loved the sport, but hey, I got invited to be on a team with 3 master level shooters. There are only 20 some master level shooters. If you register as part of the National Sporting Clays Association, you start shooting tournaments and you have to work your way up. Like you start in E class and you have to win so many tournaments in your class and go up to D and C and so forth. You get up to A and AA and then master, but you have to win more and more and more tournaments at each level to get to the next one. And they don't accumulate. You go into the next one with 0, the next class. But I had 3 master class shooters I was on the team with, and I'm only B. I worked myself up from E, so I was getting there before I really kind of quit shooting. But at any rate, had a great time, and we did have the high score in the afternoon sporting clay tournament that they had as part of this fundraiser for Boy Scouts of America. It was a great time, and it really made me realize how much I enjoy that sport. And I really encourage it. If you haven't shot sporting clays, a lot of people describe it as golf with a shotgun. And that's a fair description because you go from station to station to station. They're all different. You're usually in a beautiful location, like in Kokomo at Isaac Walton League. You're back in the woods. There's a stream that runs through it. It's just gorgeous, and it's a lot of fun. And so I want to give a shout out to those people, and including the three incredibly good shooters that I had on my team. And apparently I had to leave before the award ceremony, but apparently there's a trophy waiting for me somewhere for winning the high score as a team, which, by the way, I did not have this high score on my team. I didn't have the second or the third, but given the guys that I was shooting with, I hung in there okay, and we were able to win the thing. At any rate, let's talk about what's going on here in Indiana. The Indiana Firearms Preemption Act is a very, 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 very important law that we have here in Indiana. And this was passed in 2011, and the principal author was Senator Jim Toms. And he's down in the sort of Evansville area. Poseyville, I think, is where he actually lives. But Jim's incredibly strong on the Second Amendment. And states around the country had started passing these. And what they say is, listen, we've got plenty of laws at the state and federal level. What we don't need is every city and county and township and airport authority and library board or all these other little units of government passing their own gun control laws. And this needs to be done at the state and federal level. And so the law was passed, and there was a big fight in the Indiana General Assembly, and I was there, I participated, and we ended up getting the thing passed. And the Indiana Association of Cities and Towns was there, and they weren't happy about it. They wanted to have local control. They wanted cities to be able to pass whatever laws they wanted. But the idea behind this is to first of all avoid, the liberal administration, mayor, city county council, or just city council or common council in other areas around Indiana. They're called different things. Being able to pass these anti-Second Amendment provisions that inflict and infringe on anybody's rights who come into that city or into that county or whatever the jurisdiction might be. And so it was a big fight and a long fight, and it's kind of an early version that looked a lot like constitutional carry in terms of there was a lot of emotion, and we eventually got it passed. And it basically says local governments, cities, counties, townships, etc., what we call political subdivisions. Where that term comes from is you have the state, the entire state of Indiana, and the state of Indiana is divided into other units of local government, counties, cities, etc. And we call those political subdivisions. It could be an airport authority, a housing authority. Those are units of government within the state. Those are political subdivisions. And the law says political subdivisions, units of local government, just can't regulate firearms, period. Now, there's a section of the act that carves out certain exceptions. It says, for instance, a local government can prohibit guns in a building that contains a courthouse or a courtroom. Okay. A unit of government, local unit of government, and we call this a Jimmy Irsay exception. If a city or another political subdivision leases property to a private owner or organizer, I should say, or promoter of an event, then they can prohibit firearms. That's why you can't have guns in a Colts game or a Pacer game. And so there are very limited exceptions. So, for instance, when Joe Hogsett and Jefferson Shreve both came out and said, well, I want to roll back constitutional carry in Marion County. Well, they can't do that. The Preemption Act prevents them from doing that. When they both said, I want to ban so-called assault weapons, most commonly owned rifles in America, in Marion County. Well, they can't do that. It's illegal. And listen, I've filed lawsuits under the Preemption Act all over the state, and we've successfully resolved every single one of them because the law says, the same statute says, if a local government violates the Preemption Act, then anybody adversely affected can file a lawsuit, and you can recover 4 times your attorney's fees because it provides for liquidated damages of 3 times your attorney's fees, and you can also collect your attorney's fees. That's 4 times attorney's fees. You sue these people, and you run up $50,000 in attorney's fees, you can recover $200,000. And some of the cases we've had have gone on for a long time, and there's been a lot more attorney's fees than that. And so it has teeth to it. And so it's a big deal. Oh, by the way, it also says that if they pass one of these local regulations that violates the act because they regulate firearms, not just firearms, ammunition, or firearms accessories. They can't regulate those things, including the carrying, ownership, possession, transfer, or commerce in any of those things. They say if they ignore this and they pass, it's void and it's unenforceable. So it's a big deal. So Jefferson Shreve says, I don't care about the Preemption Act. Or he thinks, well, because I'm a Republican, this is what's so offensive to me. That's why I hope this guy, and I'm no Hogsett fan. I've been criticizing Joe Hogsett since before he took office. And we really, really need a replacement. But it's not Jefferson Shreve. Because it's not a Republican who will stab you in the back on Second Amendment rights. That sends a message to other Republican candidates, if he's anywhere close to successful, that the way to be a winning candidate as a Republican in Marion County is to turn your back on the Second Amendment. Oh, hell no. And that's why I hope Jefferson Shreve completely gets his butt kicked, notwithstanding how I feel about Joe Hogsett, because Jefferson Shreve threw the towel in on this election as soon as he came out and alienated his entire base. But when either or both of Joe Hogsett and Jefferson Shreve came out and said, we want to pass all these restrictions in Marion County. Joe Hogsett wants to do away with all concealed carry, whether you have a license or not, notwithstanding the fact that we have constitutional carry, because he's going to roll that back anyway. He wants to do away with all concealed carry. Even if you have a license, you can't carry a concealed firearm in Marion County, according to Joe Hogsett. Consider that for a minute. You think the criminals care about that? Some dude who's a 4-time felon is going to go, wait a minute, Joe Hogsett passed an ordinance where I could get fined if I carry a concealed firearm. I don't care about the death penalty. I don't care about life in prison, but Joe Hogsett might fine me. Therefore, I better leave my gun home at the crack house. Are you kidding me? But if you're threatened with a fine of $2,500 for carrying a concealed firearm in Marion County, you may listen. But they can't do any of that because of the preemption law. So what happened this past week? An Indiana Democrat state senator, Fatig Kadura, filed a bill. When he filed a bill, he announced that he's going to file a bill. And we'll talk about that and what he had to say about that and what my response was when we come back for what will be the last segment here of the Gun Guy Show, because we're stopping early for the pregame show for the IU Akron game. But right now we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Reward is $10,000.
93 WIBC.
Information leading to the arrest of Kevin Mason.
We will not stop and we will not sleep until he is brought back into custody.
Released from the Marion County Jail by accident.
Hear the news.
Possible layoffs at a Stellantis plant in Kokomo.
Could be left without a job because of the UAW strike.
My wife's going to be out of money, and so it's kind of scary.
Another update is just minutes away.
Colts quarterback Anthony Richards' likelihood of playing this Sunday in doubt.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
After 24 years on the force, I've hung up my uniform. I've supported Mayor Hogsett in the past, but this year I'm voting for Jefferson Shreve. I've met Jefferson Shreve, I've spoken with him, and he understands that for this city to be safe, we need to retain veteran officers, hire new ones, and give them proper training. Jefferson Shreve understands what this city needs to be safe again. I'm retired IMPD officer Dan Green, and I support Jefferson Shreve.
My name is Crystal, and I moved here from a bigger city. I came here specifically to feel safer and to help grow my career, but it has not been that exactly. I really love fitness, and running outside has always been important to me. But in downtown Indy, it just does not feel safe. I've never voted before, but this time it's really important. I've met Jefferson Shreve, and I really like him. He has a plan to make Indy safe. So this time around, I'm voting for Jefferson Shreve.
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Indiana Foundation Service. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at indianafoundation.com.
AE Ammo is Greenwood's ammunition superstore. The largest variety in training, hunting, and self-defense ammo with the best prices locally guaranteed. Factory new 9mm FMJ ammo starting at $12 per 50-round box. Factory new 50-round boxes, $380 from $14.99 and $45 ACP from $18.99. And with the AE Ammo Customer Rewards Program, start earning points today towards money back to use on future purchases. Shop in-store or online at aeammo.com.
A lot of schools talk about training the cybersecurity workforce of the future, but do they really deliver? My Computer Career has been supplying the IT workforce with thousands of skilled, certified pros for 15 years. Train with the experts in support, networking, or cybersecurity and start your career in months, not years. Upskill even faster. On campus or live online. Qualified students may get financial aid, including the GI Bill. My Computer Career. Accredited, acclaimed, effective. Take the free career evaluation at mycomputercareer.edu.
Don't fall for the free furnace upcharge tricks. Get an honest, fair quote from Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling, your independent American Standard Air dealer. Call themarshallnow.com.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back, I should say, what will be our last segment here on the Gun Guy Show, because we've got the pregame show. Speaking of football, by the way, I have a gentleman's bet for some beer with Jason Hammer. And listen, let this be a lesson to you. Jason Hammer is a professional handicapper. He has a show. He gets paid to prognosticate the winners and losers of especially college sports, but pros as well. And number 19 Colorado was playing number 10 Oregon. Listen, I'm an Oregon fan. My son accepted an offer, a scholarship to go play football at Oregon, and I've been on that campus a bunch of times. I'm a fan. But Jason and I were talking about that game, and Oregon was giving 21 points to Colorado. 21. That's the 19th team in the country. You got all this momentum behind Colorado and Coach Prime, and they're getting 21 points. And I thought, oh man, I'll take the 21 points. I just checked the score. Oregon's winning 42-0. So I gotta put the word out to Jason. I gotta ask him what kind of beer he wants, because I'm not coming back from 42-0, even though there's 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. In the meantime, let's talk about something more important: the firearms preemption law. So I got a call from Fox 59, and they said that Senator Kadura from Indianapolis is announcing, not, by the way, any coincidence that he's from a very similar area to where Jefferson Shreve lives. And Jefferson Shreve said He wants to push the repeal of the preemption law. So if we repeal the preemption law at the state level, what's that do? It allows Marion County and Joe Hogsett or Jefferson Shreve, if in the unlikely event he would get elected, to do what they've promised to do, which is go forward and regulate gun rights. And in fact, ban assault weapons, quote unquote, most commonly owned rifles in America, repeal constitutional carry, raise the age to buy any firearm, rifle or shotgun, to 21. So what these two idiots want to do is you can go across the seas as a member of the U.S. military. You can operate a tank or a drone or an artillery battery or carry an M4 select firearm in combat, serve your country, come home as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, and you can't go into a gun store in Marion County and buy a rifle or a shotgun to go hunting with your dad. That's what Jefferson Shreve and Joe Hogsett want in Marion County. And if this effort is successful, which is at their request, make no mistake, it's that these two mayoral candidates, the current mayor, Joe Hogsett, and Republican candidate Jefferson Shreve, they both asked for the same thing. They've asked for this repeal. A Republican, get your head around this. A Republican is asking for a repeal of the preemption law to allow these unconstitutional, and they are unconstitutional, make no mistake. If these things were to pass, I'll file the lawsuit on behalf of the 2A project, and I'll win it. Ban assault weapons? Good luck. But that's what's going on. But anyway, here's the announcement in terms of what Senator Fadi Kadura had to say to Fox 59 this week.
We have heard clearly from many communities that they would like organic solutions that are not mandated by the state of Indiana. The local law enforcement agency must submit the recommendations to their legislative body, meaning the city council or the county council, with recommendations and explanation of why they would like to impose these restrictions.
So, okay, here's what we're really talking about, though, because under this proposed regulation that this would allow, repealing the Preemption Act would allow Marion County to do what Fadi Kadura, Jefferson Shreve, and Joe Hogsett want to do. What it would allow them to do is would be to institute a system of fines. So, for instance, Joe Hogsett says we're repealing all concealed carry in Marion County. So if a 4-time convicted felon is caught carrying his firearm in Marion County, he could be fined. Maximum fine under the Indianapolis Marion County City County Code is $2,500. So what they are telling you, and what Fadi Kadura, Senator Kadura, is just telling you in that announcement right there, because they want their solutions at the local level, they're telling you that someone who's not afraid, because let's say they're a drug dealer who's intent on killing their rival drug dealer, and they're on their way. They're going to do a drive-by shooting as their rival drug dealers out on the street selling drugs. Hey, not in my territory. I'm going to go by and shoot his ass. So I'm on the way to go shoot him, and I'm not afraid of the death penalty because I got a long criminal history, and I'm going to shoot him and his associates. I'm going to commit a multiple murder. I'm not afraid of a life in prison or 30 or 60 years in prison. I'm not afraid of any of those things, but I'm going to go, hold on. Joe Hogsett will fine me if I carry my firearm into Marion County. Fine me. I'm not afraid of 60 years in prison. I'm afraid of Joe Hogsett's fine. Therefore, I'm not going to commit this murder. That's what these idiot politicians want you to believe. That's what Fadi Kadura, Senator Kadura, clearly believes. Otherwise, he wouldn't be proposing this. Because all local jurisdictions can do if this thing passes is institute this system of fines. That's it. Now, $2,500, You, as a law-abiding citizen, are going to go, well, I don't want to pay a $2,500 fine. That's a lot of money. That's a house payment. That's a couple of house payments. That's several several car payments. That's a big deal. I'm not going to carry my gun. That's a big-ass fine. So what do you say? You're a law-abiding citizen. You don't carry your gun. The criminal doesn't care. They're going to carry their gun anyway. You're the one who now is unprotected. That's what Fadi Kadura, that's what Jefferson Shreve, and that's what Joe Hoggs that want to happen in Marion County. That's why this bill has to be defeated, and I'm sure it will. That's it for this week's Gun Guy Show. Come back next week.
On the Neil Tire and Auto Service Radio Network from Learfield.
Here's the snap.